There are many spring games that have recently been played. Today we'll look at some of the big spring games and look ahead to the NFL Draft, which takes place this week.
Four-man rush. Fields has time. Watches downfield. It's Olave. He's got a touchdown! Ohio State! A deep strike, and the Buckeyes stretch the lead again. 56 yards. Wow.
Blitz is coming. Hurts sees it, gets rid of it. It's caught for the touchdown. Alshon Jeffrey.
On second down, he's back. He settles. He's throwing. End zone. Touchdown. It's Rashard Higgins. Welcome back, Rashard Higgins.
Hello and welcome to Air It Out. I'm your host, Simon Lupfer, and with me, as always, is Harrison Payne. How's it going, Harrison?
It's going good. We couldn't record last week, sadly.
Yeah.
Had some birthday stuff. But, excited to finally be back after,
Because we're big boys now, finally. Yeah. Sorry that we missed last week. We were pretty busy, so we couldn't really... We didn't really have time to record, but... And then yesterday, we couldn't get it out in time, but we still thought that it would... 2 weeks is long enough of a wait.
Yeah. Cause
there's no use in waiting another week, and we have plenty to talk about right now.
Our million.
And the NFL draft is coming up on Thursday, so
yeah,
we're gonna have more to talk about next week too.
I felt like just a month ago we were just ending the season, and now it's already a draft time.
Yeah, it has actually gone pretty fast, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's start off with some other spring games before we cover Ohio State's, because we have the most for that one. I don't know how much you want to talk about Clemson or Alabama or anything like that.
So Clemson, that's it's just I watched a bunch of the games. DJ, how do you say his last name?
Ungalele.
Yeah, DJ Ungalele. He showed a lot of potential last year. Trevor Lawrence was out due to COVID protocols, so he took his role during the Notre Dame game and was able to get the win. But he showed some good potential in this game. Again, Ohio State's just a big team. I know everyone about them. But so DJ played well. Their defense looked pretty solid, because they lose a lot of really good players every year, just like most big teams. But
right.
With Travis Etienne being out, a big thing was to look at now their run game, because everyone knew DJ would be able to take Trevor's spot.
Yeah.
But the first running back they had out there showed pretty well potential. He ran really hard. So
yeah, I agree. And then other than that, Alabama, their new quarterback, I forget his first name, but it's something Young, I'm pretty sure. And I'm pretty sure there's not really any competition. So I think he's going to be starting for them. He had some good plays, but he also gave up a couple of interceptions, I think. So
it might be time for the Alabama.
We'll have to see.
To die down.
Maybe.
Just like the Patriots. But you talked about, because there wasn't many other games that I watched. Because I know I saw Florida, I think I saw.
Yeah, I feel like it's just a bunch of smaller teams, really.
They're big,
they are
small
kind
teams.
of big teams. Yeah, but really nobody's bigger in the college football world than Ohio State, Clemson, and Alabama, really.
Yeah. So, you talked about the Alabama quarterback having no competition, and I kind of wanted to roll that into Ohio State's, if you're good with that.
I'm good with that.
Okay, so everyone knows Justin Fields, and because we've talked about him literally every single episode we've had, I feel.
Yeah, pretty much.
But him going in the draft, the big question for everyone in Columbus is just who's going to be the new QB. And there's actually like a big problem because they have too much talent at QB right now.
Yeah, there's a 3-way competition going on right now between C.J. Stroud, Kyle McCord, and Jack Miller. It was said after the spring game that took place last Saturday that all three of them, it's still going to be a competition heading into the fall season. So we'll have to see. But if I just had to make my pick right now, I would say the depth chart is going to be C.J. Stroud, then Kyle McCord, then Jack Miller.
Yeah, I agree. So we saw a bit of C.J. Stroud last year.
Yes, tiny bit.
He had a big game, a big run against Michigan State, I think, which kind of showed us his elusiveness because he, in my opinion, is just like Justin Fields.
Oh, I also think in the 2019 season, when Justin Fields got hurt in the Michigan game, he came in and scored like a couple touchdowns.
No, that wasn't him.
Really? I'm pretty sure it was him.
No, because he was redshirted last year, or I think so. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know.
But anyway, C.J. Stroud showed a lot of potential in this game.
Yeah.
He was 16 for 22. I don't know that percentage. I think it's like 70, maybe. I don't even know.
I'll check.
He had 185 yards and 2 touchdowns. And again, that's him having maybe a third of the game.
Yeah, that's him having a third of the snaps and only technically one half of a game because they only played 30 minutes and not 60.
Yeah. So that's like big to know. I think he scored on both his drives. Or not. No, he had like 3 drives, I think.
Okay.
And one he had to punt it away. But yeah, so C.J. Stroud played pretty well.
Yeah.
And then you have Kyle McCord, who he was said to be the third QB. So they had Jack Miller starting.
Yeah, they did.
Jack Miller had a really good first drive. He was doing really well, but then he got into the red zone and thought he'd take a shot, and it was a bad read, and it got picked off.
Yeah.
And
that was really like the only defensive play of the game, really.
Yeah.
Well, the only like turnover, right?
Yeah. The defense, like honestly, the offense just ran all over them. Like, not literally running,
the offense
but
was insane.
also passing. Yeah, so it's a big thing right now because C.J. Stroud played really well. Kyle McCord played really well. Jack Miller had a really good first drive, except that last thing. But I feel after that interception, he kind of just died down a bit.
Yeah. One thing that really impressed me with C.J. Stroud is we were talking about before the episode. I hadn't really noticed how accurate he was with the ball. Like, he might not have the biggest arm. I think Kyle McCord can throw deep balls better than C.J. Stroud. But in the short to mid-range game, C.J. Stroud is really accurate, and I hadn't noticed that before. So
yeah, there's because last year they did it against Clemson and like every team. There's this one play where Justin Fields would roll out to the right and just throw it to Chris Olave.
Oh yeah, from the red zone.
Yeah.
Like,
they did that all the time. That was the play, and then C.J. Stroud actually did it in the game, and he did it like really well, like just like Justin Fields.
Yeah, and that's that play.
Yeah, that's what like kind of made me excited, knowing that he can be just like Justin Fields, because he can run it. He showed that against Michigan State. Like, he can run the ball. He's pretty fast. But it's just that how you said it is accuracy. It's a lot better than I realized.
Right. All right. So, do you want to move on to the wide receivers?
Yeah, you can.
All right.
You can start it off.
So, this year's wide receiver room for Ohio State is like completely stacked. Like everybody thought it was great last year. I think this year it's even better, honestly. In my opinion,
Honestly, yeah.
I think it's better this year than it was last year. So you have Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, obviously your two big guys, like your two biggest playmakers.
Possibly the best
coming back.
duo, the best receiver duo
Also,
right now.
yes. Okay, and then you have the number one receiver in the 2020 class, which I don't know how to say his name.
Mika Agbuka, I think.
Yeah, him. You have Jamison Williams, you have Jackson Smith and Jigba, you have Marvin Harrison Jr., and you have Julian Fleming. And there's a couple others, but all those guys I just listed, they could probably be starters on a lot of D1 teams.
Yeah.
And I just listed seven guys.
Yeah, so...
And some of these freshmen, like Harrison Jr. and Agbuga, they really had good games themselves too.
Yeah, because, I mean, we all know Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson just because the past 2 years now.
Right.
Just, that's the big thing. Just that we have those two guys, and I feel on most big teams, besides Alabama and maybe Clemson, there's always that one main guy that they're always like, oh, we need to focus on him. But I feel with Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson that it's both their receivers are top tier talent. We need to find a way to try and lock them down, and they can't ever do that.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, and then we had, I think most of y'all know Jackson Smith and Jigma because of the one crazy catch he had against someone. I forget who it was.
I forget who as well.
But he showed a lot of his talent last year. Do you want to maybe talk about Agbuka? Because I feel like I've been the only one talking this whole time.
Yeah, I think I didn't really know about Agbuka before the spring game, but when I was watching it, the announcers were hyping him up so much, and he was making great catches. And I think it's so good that we're going to have all these receivers for inexperienced quarterbacks to rely on. Because, even these freshmen are going to be great assets for the quarterbacks if they need them.
Yeah.
And then, also, Jamison Williams, we've seen him kind of, on and off, especially last year, I think. But I think this year he's going to get a lot more time as kind of a... Because I don't think he's going to be a slot guy. I think he's going to be a second-string wideout. So, yeah. Right now, I think that the starters are going to be Olave and Garrett Wilson as the wideouts, and then Smith and Jigba is going to be the starting slot receiver. But I think as time goes on, Agbuka might become the starting slot receiver.
I agree with those three, for the first starter. But I feel that we have so much talent right now that we're going to be able to just, hey, let's switch out
every play.
Yeah, let's switch out Agbuka for the Jigma, make sure they're all rested, so that at the end of the game we can still have deep balls, and those receivers won't be tired. Because that's
right.
If you have Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave running goes all game long, by the end when you really need it, it's gonna be they're gonna be exhausted. But we have so much talent right now that we can put any of these guys anywhere and they will just go crazy. They'll do the best of their ability.
Yeah, for real. I mean, I'm actually really excited about this year's receivers because they're so good. I remember all over the news last year, everybody was talking about, Ohio State's receivers are going to be so good. But I feel this year they're even better. And it's good because now we have an inexperienced quarterback that we need to help. And I'm not saying he's like bad, but he is inexperienced, you know?
Yeah. Well, you were like, I'm excited as well. I have a little bit of that nerve just because, like, I don't know, when Justin Fields first transferred and we saw his first game, like,
Yeah.
I went to that game.
You did.
And I don't know why, but something with Justin Fields, it was just, I felt confident in his ability. But right now, like, I'm confident in CJ Stroud, but I don't know, I've never really, like, seen what he can really do to really prove to me that he'll ball out. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's like, I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm also, like, a little nervous because I don't know how we're gonna, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think we'll definitely find out within the first couple games. And I hope this season that with a full season, I hope the Big Ten gets competitive again, because last year with the shortened year and like all these like usual powerhouses in the Big Ten, like they were not good at all last year. So I hope there's good competition for, you know, a young quarterback like that to be taken more seriously and get more recognition, especially if he does well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, because with the Big Ten thing, I remember, like, growing up, it was always a Michigan, Penn State, Michigan State. Like, us 4 teams were, like, big. Those are all big games.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we've gotten that good to the point where we're just destroying everybody. But the past few years, like, I haven't even really want to watch the game because we're winning by 50 points.
Yeah, that's true.
And, like, that
is crazy.
We beat Penn State last year by, like, 30, I think, or something like that. But they were ranked, like, number 12.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, I agree. There's just, maybe we need to schedule better teams. Because, again, with the Big Ten not being good right now, we went in the playoffs. And, yes, we played really good against Clemson. But, like, it's to the point where we're not playing anyone good. But then we'll get to the playoffs and we're playing Clemson and Alabama and top teams, and it's like a whole different type of game.
I agree. All right. So back to that spring game. Let's talk about the running backs now. So we have Master Teague, who is a returning running back, who I think is going to be the starter. And then I think his backup that he's going to split a little bit of time with is Travion Henderson.
Yeah.
And you know a lot about Travion Henderson, so I'm going to let you talk about him. But I'm just want to say he looked like a beast in the spring game.
Yeah. Well, I know the name from somewhere, I'll be honest. I've heard that name everywhere before. But, so when watching the game, he came in last year, so he was redshirted. Actually, he wasn't. He got a couple reps against Clemson. His first one, like his first handoff of the day, he got like 20 yards and he ran over a dude. I just want to say, he reminds me like exactly of Marshawn Lynch, I'll be honest.
Really?
A lot of people are comparing him to Dobbins, and I see it. But at the same time, like, with Master Teague and Trayvon Henderson, like, it's going to be just power just running up the middle, because
that is true.
Them two combined.
They are both kind of like power backs.
Yeah, so Travion Henderson came in last year weighing over 240 pounds. And that's like, he's like 5'10". He's 5'10", but he's like 240 pounds.
Crazy.
And the announcer's making jokes like the team called him fatty or something like that. But he lost a lot of weight this offseason, and he looks really like he wants to hit someone. I can see that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited because we've always had good running backs, but honestly, thinking about it, I see more Elliott, to be honest. CQ Elliott.
Really?
Looking at him, I feel like their play style is very similar. Because Dobbins had those moments where he would run over someone, but he was more of a make a move and try to shake someone. But Travion Henderson is a I want to run over someone type thing.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go fast here for the rest of this. So we have senior tight end Jeremy Rucker. He's returning. That's gonna be a big plus. The tight ends really got involved in the semifinal against Clemson, and he had a couple touchdowns. He had a great game there. And he's definitely going to get used a lot this year. And then in the defensive back seven, we have, or not back seven. In the secondary, we have Seven Banks as a corner returning. We have Lathan Ransom as a slot corner returning, and then we have Josh Proctor as a safety. And I think all of these guys are a lot better. I think our secondary this year is going to be better than last year.
Last year, our secondary was not good. Sean Wade had a terrible season.
Yeah. But we have those three. Ransom had a really good game against Clemson. Seven Banks has not really been a big starter, but whenever we've needed him to come in scenarios, he's always done the job right. And then Josh Proctor, I mean, we just got to see how physical he is and how much he's willing to take on that full-time role.
Well, the one thing with Josh Proctor, I don't really know who he is, to be honest, but he got burnt deep by one play.
Yeah, he did.
And that's the first thing I saw, because, like, I guess they need to work, maybe, because we've had Fuller for the past couple of years, not last year, but we've had Fuller, and Fuller's been a top safety for us.
Fuller was so good.
Yeah, he was really good for us. So now it's like trying to find that next Fuller or someone like that, just because. So that play like bothered me a little, because he kind of bit on the run, but then got burnt deep, and our secondary cannot allow deep balls this year like they did last year.
Yeah, I agree. That's all I have. If that's all you have.
Yeah, and we'll not do the draft today, because I think we've talked about the draft a lot, and I don't want to extend the episode too long and then bore everybody, and then but it's happening on Thursday, so we will we'll be able to have our reactions to it next week. So if that's all you got. Yeah, I think the offense is going to be really dominant, and defense, to be honest, you can't really tell how good the defense is just because of how good our offense is. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out with a bunch of new people. Yeah,
I agree. All right. So, thank you for listening to this week's episode of Air It Out. I think this is episode 17. Make sure you're subscribed, following us on whatever platform you're listening on. If you would be so kind as to go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating out of 5 stars, maybe even write us a review if you want. Make sure you're following our Instagram, who somebody hasn't posted on for a while. What's the Instagram at?
Air It Out. .football, I think.
Okay. Well, airitOut.football. And other than that, we will see you next week after the draft.